Live from the apocalypse, we are deep dish tonight. This is State of the Game. My name is Dano, and I'll tell you one thing. My mom raised me on rice cakes, but it's the first thing I stopped eating when I left the house. Fuck rice cakes. My name is Dano. I am the host. I am joined every week by a man who beat Jeb Bush in a mixed martial arts match in Florida. K Diggy, thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming along with this ride.
Always, man.
Yeah, this has been years in the making. We got the king of living is here. We're someone that in my mind I've been calling the asset, Vic Spencer.
Yeah.
Call him the asset because Vic Spencer is always increasing in value.
Yeah.
The commodity. So that's good stuff. You're prolific. You release a lot of music, and if you look at your year-to-year release, you're just always hitting higher than you were before, and that hunger is something that is deeply appreciated.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's in me, man. It's in my blood.
That's it. So and whenever Vic is talked about, Vic is discussed in relation to Sean Price, because Sean Price repped Vic. Sean Price repped a lot of up and coming people, by the way. That was one of the cool things about Sean, was like if you were hot, he was hitting you and letting you know. And he was a supporter of Vic, and Vic's style kind of lends itself, but Vic also has a lot of time with Tree, right? And Tree, they grew together, and there was like a real cool influence there that I think isn't really talked about. So I wanted to chop it up about that, but I think first we got to start with, is it 3 releases this year, right?
So far, right? Yeah.
So far, wow.
Still Here with Dr. Mindbender, Mudslide with Small Professor, and Psychological Cheat Sheet 3 with the great August Fanon. What are you gonna do? That's 3 for 3.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's what a lot of people have been saying, 3 for 3. And it's definitely intentional.
Yeah.
Did you map out? So do you? I've always wondered this. Do rappers do you map out your years beforehand? Like, were you planning 2022 and 2021?
Yeah, I was planning 2022 and 2020. You know what I'm saying? That's how far ahead I was. You know what I'm saying? Still is. And to the point where some of the projects was done like 2-3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Where I was able to be able to just map out how things was going to be released. You know what I'm saying? It's that business model Nike has. They like to know what they releasing in 2025. I take that same approach too. You know what I'm saying?
So my question to Vic would be, there's a lot of prolific rappers out there. There's a lot of rappers who release a lot. Yeah. But as I made a joke last time I was talking to Zilla, that a lot of it is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, right? It's just, bread, peanut butter, jelly, sandwich, moving on, right? And you are always able to keep projects and series completely different from one another, right? When you're doing this stuff, give them their own personality and character. What do you do different from these other heavy release rappers that makes your output, your projects, pop in a way they don't?
I think I really pretend that I'm the producer sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm doing these projects with one producer, I'm kind of like in their world, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, my fans is gonna know that I'm a part of it because it's just got those small details and that quality that I instill in it. So I feel like, man, if I pretend to be the producer, then I'll always feel just like as one. We'll always be one and the same. We'll kind of click. And then all of the beats, like so, like you said, from series to projects, like the projects are the ones that got like multiple producers. And even with those, like those beats individually has, you know, man, I like cried at some of those beats. I stopped what I was doing to write to some of those beats. You know what I'm saying? So it all has like this one emotion that comes back to just like it touched my soul. And now I'm just gonna have this pretend like, yeah, man, like, yeah, if the producer made it, I'm gonna make it where the producer's gonna love it. You know what I'm saying? So it's one and the same type ordeal.
No, that's awesome.
And so how did like these 2022 projects, how did they like come to be?
The 2022 projects?
Yes.
Well, one of them was in the making from like 7 years ago. The Dr. Mindbender project, still here. We were working on that project for years. Like we changed up a few of the concepts and song titles. It was an EP at first, and then it turned into a full length. So it was going through changes, and then last year we decided that we were going to release it this year. And then it just turned out to be at the perfect time for that project. The second project, still Mudslide. That was recorded before it came out. That was recorded 2 years ago. So I didn't know when that was going to specifically drop until the year before. Like it's like I have these projects ready, and then the next year it follows, like, you know what I'm saying, follows like okay, now let's get ready and mix it and master it and put it out. You know what I'm saying? Well, where can we put this? Well, all right, we can get this in next year. You know what I'm saying? We can get the situation, we get the rollout, we get the videos. It gives me more time to put the extra ingredients on the shish kebab, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? So, the album is the meat. You know what I'm saying? Now it's time to add them peppers, add them pineapple chunks, add all the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Put some mild sauce and some lemon pepper on it. You know what I'm saying? So that's my way of knowing that I know a project is done when I'm at that point. And it could take about a year to do that kind of stuff, especially if you're juggling mad projects. You got to definitely give your time to those projects to where you feel like, yeah, you gave it your all. And and I'm big on post-production too, so I'm always in hands-on with that. And I think that all of that stuff kind of matters.
The other thing I had to tell you, because this is an interesting distinction. We had Small Pro on here not too long ago with Mudslide, because he's done a lot this year too. And I told Small Pro, I said, there's only one producer in the world who I hold you against. Because I think there's only one producer in the world who kind of can get emotion out of an underground beat the way Small Pro does, and it's Fanon. And so then I was like, oh shit, he's got Small Pro and Fanon in the same year. Like, leave it to Vic to find the producers that can give you the most emotion per knocking, beat, and just take them both.
Yeah. They go. Small Pro did a wonderful job with making sure I had fun when I was picking the beats. You know what I'm saying? He reminded me of my nostalgia of listening to music in the 90s. So it gave me that kind of feel when I was creating that project. And August Fanon, I feel like we're one and the same. We're like the same person. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to unorthodox and paving the way with originality. And I feel like when I link with Fanon, it's more personal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I say small pro. I say Doc gave me like the hardcore, the lyrical phase, and the Mudslide gave me the fun. We're gonna have a ball type feel, and then psychological cheat sheet gives me that personal, vulnerable, in depth, candid Vic Spencer. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
That makes
And
sense. Yeah.
absolutely. So when you're creating the project, are you thinking about that intentionally? Like, okay, like this project, I did Mudslide over here, and the angle I was approaching it was this angle. This project, I want to try approaching it this angle. Do you do?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you do that, or do the projects just, do you just allow the music to speak to you, whatever comes out, comes out?
Well, with the series, I kind of know where I'm going, where I'm headed. So with Psychological Cheat Sheet, with this being on his third album, I kind of know where I'm going and where that concept is going to be. But with Mudslide, like Mudslide kind of came together with all parties, like Small Pro, the people over at Coal Mine Records, they had their hands in. So it was more like a team effort on how that became a fun album. You know what I'm saying? So certain things that got like part 2, part 3, part 4, those are kind of like, yeah, I know how I'm gonna attack this, how I'm gonna approach this. And then some of my other albums is just be like, yeah, it's the way Vic Spencer rap. It's gonna be this same rap. It's not this, not with the I'm gonna have a twist with everything, but it's gonna be the Vic Spencer that people really know me for. You know what I'm saying? It's as opposed to, isolating it to, just the emotional and personal stuff. It's gonna be an album where it's gonna be just like, yeah, these are the dopest beats, and Vic going in, he smoking his weed, he being witty, he being funny, you know what I'm saying? So kind of like when I had those projects, just like the Cost of Victory or Duffel of Gems, I kind of like, I have room to play around and be more just regular Vic Spencer, chilling on the couch, you know what I'm saying? Got his weed ready to roll up type vibe, you know what I'm saying? But then, I got other side. I know that having those collaborative projects with one producer helps me differentiate everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, yeah, and it does help you differentiate. And I think it's almost like, actors need their motivation. They need to know what their motivation is in the scene. You always find the motivation for the album, which I think is what sets you apart from other spitters. Sometimes there are good spitters who can't tailor an album, right?
Right.
You know what the motivation is, so you know what the cover should look like. You know what the sequencing should be like. You know who the guest should be. And I think that's kind of, does that make sense as a difference or a differentiating factor?
Yeah, I feel like when I'm going, it's the same approach with all the albums. You know what I'm saying? I think that's kind of like part of like the fine details that I add in albums. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm really sequencing albums. I'm really picking the features and stuff like that. So it's like I got my own little part of my career where I'm curating my own albums. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then I got the collaborative side where it's like, yeah, I got some help. I ain't got to really do a lot. I just got to make sure my bars is on point and pick the best beats. You know what I'm saying? And then the rest comes out because you got help in that sense. You know what I'm saying? But then when I'm doing like the projects that I got 12 songs and it's 12 different producers, then that's just me kind of like, yeah, let me go in my stash. I got this folder called Gone Fishing. I just go in there, rod, go in there, sling my rod, and whatever beat I pull out is going on the album that I'm currently working on. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got an album I got working on right now. It's probably like 6 songs done. It's called Gotta Be Double Clip Tight. You know what I'm saying? Meaning you gotta be on point, gotta be ready for opportunity for anything. You know what I'm saying? So, I just been taking like some of the hardcore banging beats and just putting that on the album until further notice. You know what I'm saying? But then it's all coming from one place though. That Gone Fishing file.
I love that.
That's awesome. No, it makes sense. And you talked a little bit about, shout out to the Rap Music Plug podcast, and you're a great interview there. You talked a little bit about the group homes that you grew up in, that Fanon grew up in, and had a similar history. And Psychological Cheat Sheet, I was listening to it, and you remember that like rap songs that were serious or emotional, they had a kind of one note character to them. The piano would start, right? And the MC would change his tone so it seemed like he was speaking at a eulogy, and it would be very somber, right? And the cool thing about Psychological Cheat Sheet is it seems like memories kind of stab into you as you talk.
Yeah.
You know, does that make sense? Jagged.
Yeah, you get it. You low key get it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's one of those punching bags for me. You know what I'm saying? A personal it's like, yeah, it's a personal door that only I can walk in, and I can be able to vent and talk about some of the things that I kind of numbed growing up. And I ain't gonna say I numbed it. It was just like I dealt with it differently than my siblings or people that grew up in the group home with me. You know what I'm saying? I just handled it a lot different. And then when I found an outlet that I can venture out and speak on these things, then that's when I just started to utilize that. It's really turning a negative to a positive when you look at it like that. You know what I'm saying? I could have been better off doing some crazy shit, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just really out here, making the positive out of negatives, you know what I'm saying? So I just take it as, yeah, Vic, man, you made it happen. You really a success story in a sense, because, I'm still out here making moves. I also, somebody that mentored me, I also got a mentoring job, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like everything's coming into play based on how I was raised in these group homes. And, it probably was the best for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think, and the commonality with you and Fanon, you're both very productive, right? But Fanon, like every Fanon beat feels like he left a chunk of himself in it.
Yeah.
And
That's why I feel like
you.
it's something with the frequency between August Fanon and the way how I be feeling about things. It works. It works so perfect. Like it's like a perfect match. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I can go on and on August Fanon beats. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I could take a couple years and just drop all August Fanon produced albums. You know what I'm saying? Because he's like, you know what I'm saying? He's one of those guys that I can say everything, talk about every damn thing about on all his beats. I could talk about everything. I ain't gotta isolate it and all of those things. I could just beat a big pot of gumbo and you know what I'm saying, and fuel it with all types of great energy. It gives me space to do all of that. Especially the music is just incredible. His production is incredible, top tier.
Yeah.
And so it's only right that you gotta have these kind of emotions to it and professionalism to it and quality to it. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to add to it. I kind of like think that my voice or my rap style is kind of like an instrument to August Fanon production. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
I think there's a holy trinity there of like you, Fanon, and NCL Tim on the cover design, right? You're
Absolutely, that's the team. Yeah.
Unconventional, naturally unconventional. It's not like you're trying to be unconventional. That's just how you wake up, right? Like, and that's how Tim is as well,
Tim just get his wine and he have his own mind, but it intertwines with what we doing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, wow, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's easy when you work with somebody that sees what you see without seeing it. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy that he's able to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's a talent, and that's a rare gem. That's a good energy to be around. Somebody that could take an album and create something what he's doing, because how he's doing the artwork and how he got his sequel with his One of Me in part 1, Two of Me in part 2, and like that's his thing. That we ain't having no discussion. You know what I'm saying? That's his thing. And how he's bringing it into what me and August Fanon does individually, it just like a force that cannot be reckoned with. You know what I'm saying? It's incredible how we come up with things.
So I have a question for the Psychological Cheat Sheet series. did you draw inspiration from any places, any sources?
Just basically my life. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to speak. I always felt like I had this voice and I could speak, and I was always outspoken. So it just gave me, it was one of those psychological cheat sheet, one of those places where, yeah, I got a home for this now. I love it. You know what I'm saying? And now I have like more and more to talk about. Like I got so much that I want to talk about this. So it just gives me an opportunity. Just like I said, with the album, got to be double clip tight. You know what I'm saying? It's another opportunity to be able to, you know, jump out and tell a story about your past, and it's comfortable and it's not forced, and it's not, you know, it's not really a concept, because it's really songs on there that got like just crazy lyricism to it, but it's just me probably thinking about how I was raised, or when I was in a group home dorm when I was writing it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't probably rapping like on Major League, what is the song called? Murder League Baseball. I remember like just pulled up to one of the where the group home sites used to be, and the site's not there no more. I wrote bars right there, but I wasn't like writing bars about the place being gone. I was writing how I normally would write. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Wow. Like the engine's still there.
Yeah, like that's what psychological cheat sheet does. Gives me that feel, that energy of what it looked like when I was in there. Even if I ain't had no clear vision back then, psychological cheat sheet gonna give me a pair of glasses from Lens Crafters. They gonna be real designer, and they gonna make me see. It's gonna make me paint a vivid picture about some of the things that I encountered and turmoils that happened in my life.
Yeah, it feels like past Vic, present Vic, and future Vic walking together, talking shit to each other. You know?
Yeah, it's one of those. It's definitely one of those.
It's special, man. And I would say I heard the beat for Strolling and Bowling, and I drifted off thinking about my life, because that's how that beat is. Like that's just phenomenal, right? You know, like a great jazz song where you just drift off into it, you know.
Yeah. Strolling and Bowling was one of the first songs I recorded for the album. And if I look up on my Dropbox to see when I recorded, it's gonna say like 3 years ago. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I've always wondered, like, with a song that you recorded 3 years is such a long time ago. 3 years ago from this point would be 2019, right? Like, how do you remain connected to something that you wrote relatively so long ago?
Because I like to think that my music is on this timeless level. You know what I'm saying? I kind of like try to not rap about present things, you know what I'm saying, on songs. And I think that kind of helps. And then you got to be in love with it too. You know what I'm saying? When I record, it's not going to be no hit or miss. I record to put out, you know what I'm saying? So I ain't just recording stuff and it's not coming out. You know what I'm saying? So I just always have that feel, like it feels timeless. And it's proven, because, you know, I dropped the albums 3 years later, and it's, you know, being impactful as it should. And I feel like it's doing its job that way. I feel like at the end of the day, sometimes it's okay to sit on stuff and let it simmer. You know what I'm saying? Some of these, like if you cooking a tomahawk steak, sometimes it might need to be turned down on the temperature side to be better cooked. You know what I'm saying? So in certain cases like that, it's one of those, man, for real, man. It's a beautiful thing to be able to have timeless music that you can just turn on 3 years later. It's like, yeah, man, you did this 3 years later and it's still impactful, it's still effective.
Still relevant.
Yeah.
Okay, give me some of your favorite Vic songs of the year.
Okay, let me pull up my list.
Hey, I'm ready to hear this. Light up to that.
He's got a lot of them.
Ooh. Yes. Okay. So I mean, I loved Mudslide. So off Mudslide was Self-Care Welfare.
Okay.
I did like the Disobey Your Thirst as well. Like the
Oh,
whole second half of it was good.
gift.
Okay, and then let me get. Sorry, I have to go through each project. And I mean, I just really like Psychological Cheat Sheet 3 as well. I don't have the song list, the track title in front of me, but
I would go Tear Duct Tape on that one.
Tear Duct Tape.
Ooh.
Crazy.
Tear Duct Tape is a lot. That shit is. Ooh.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
It's a crazy song.
Crazy. What was the man? Still Here's got so much ill shit on it. I love Still Here.
Yeah, Still Here is like the stellar, is like the celebrity Vic Spencer. You know what I'm saying?
But and people need to give like Dr. Mindbender's awesome. Like
Hell
that
yeah.
is
Hell
yeah. Killed it without God. Yep.
The whole like the first half of it, I liked the opening. Cedric Ceballos. Am I pronouncing his last name?
Cedric Ceballos. He was a basketball player.
Snow Roach, Scheduled Narcotics, and then a stone construction worker.
I'm gonna go. I'll Still Here. I'm going Freezer Burn.
Freezer Burn with Planet Asia.
Because Planet Asia's delivery and your delivery are kind of great together. It's a buddy film, you know? It works.
Yeah.
Planet Asia is very smooth with it, and Vic is naturally rough texturally, and it is so good. Two people who know exactly what they're doing it. It's great.
Yeah, I had my hands in the co-production on that joint.
Oh, so good. Good for you. Yeah, I mean,
how did Planet Asia? How did he come to be on the track?
Me and Planet Asia called me his little cousin all the time. You know what I'm saying? We a lot of people say we look alike. We ever since then we've been calling each other cousins. It's crazy. It's a picture out there. I think I posted on my IG a minute ago. If you see it, if you take a look at that picture, you're like, man, these guys look like they kin each other low key. But yeah, you know, Planet Asia's always been a fan of my music for a very long time. Came here and performed in Chicago. Ali Shaheed Muhammad was on the ones and twos that whole night. And you know what I'm saying? Planet Asia was there rocking. So it was like one of those, yeah, man, I'm at Planet Asia moments. And he just always stayed tapped in with me. And, you know, we developed a good friendship. Every time I go to LA, I pull up on him. He always pull up on me in my studio sessions and rock out with me. You know what I'm saying? So he do like big cousin shit always drop gems on me. You know what I'm saying? So it's, you know, PA one of those guys that, you know, that truly rocks with Vic Spencer for real.
And Planet Asia stays tapped in. He's like tapped in. Like, he put out a new album that had Brain Orchestra on it. Like Planet Asia hears everything. He gets to dope people before any of the people in his class even know who they are.
Yep, I agree. He's one of those forefathers that's kind of like pushing the culture.
Yep. Totally agree.
And Vic, so out of the 3 projects you've released, what are some of your personal favorites?
I'm gonna say
your personal favorite tracks off of the project.
Well, the first thing I'm gonna say about all the tracks, I mean, all of the albums, the track 7s on all 3 of the albums, Contemporary Section, Self-Care Welfare, and Only Ignorance Wins. Those are like when I sequenced the albums, those I had to have those be track 7s. You know what I'm saying? Those were like the track 7 is picked first. You know what I'm saying? And then I work my way around it. You know what I'm saying? Around track 7. And I would say so. Those 3. Then let me go back in chronological order. Drop Still Here. I like Cremated. I like the bonus cuts. If you bought it off Bandcamp, I like the bonus cuts on there. You know what I'm saying? I also like Head Nod Theory, and I like Ridiculous with 38 Special. I like
Yes.
the joint with Oh No. You know what I'm saying? It's so many bangers on there. You know what I'm saying?
No, for real. Like it just feels like the project people don't talk about enough. But man,
It's the
Head
big
Nod
sleeper.
Theory, crazy.
I think that it's the big sleeper. Like my Celebrity album is the big sleeper. You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy. I thought that was crazy. And then Mudslide. I like Lil Jon's Weed Stash.
Ooh.
I like Disobey Your Thirst. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like the song with Stevie Crooks. You know what I'm saying? Red Elephant.
Okay, right after. Yeah.
I like the lead single. I started falling in love with the second part of Waves Micro. You know what I'm saying? I love the second part. The second part is crazy. You know what I'm saying? The Self-Care Welfare, that's the one right there on that album. That's a heavy gem right there. Like I love that song. I love the instrumental when it was sent to me. It was one of those ones that I knew that I was gonna execute well before I recorded it. That's definitely one of those ones that's dear to me right there. Self-Care Welfare. So shout out.
Is 7 just your lucky number, or is there like a specific reason? Because we've talked
Really
to a lot of
gang
artists.
banging shit. Yeah, because another interviewer asked me that it's really on some gang banging shit. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
The big GDs. You know what I'm saying? That's what the G is the 7. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it was. But people can interpret it how they want to interpret. But you know what I'm saying? That's for me. That's where it came from. You know what I'm saying? My favorite song is the track 7. I like the number 7. I like
And
how.
then you built. So you have your track 7 is your favorite, and then you build the album out from that point.
Yep, I build the album from that point. I already know what songs is going on the album, but I just sequence it from that point. Sequence.
Oh.
Like when I create how my album process work is, if I'm working with one producer, he'll be just sending me shitloads of beats, and then I just pick like maybe 12 through 14 joints, and then put them in a folder, and then attack that folder, and then it becomes an album. I think that's how I accumulated so many albums, because I'm doing that. I'm taking that approach. I'm picking the beats and knowing what I'm gonna rap over, and now it's just shitload of beats. You know what I'm saying?
So once you pick your beats like that, once you pick your 12, 14, that's what you focus on.
That's what I focus.
Like you're not getting okay.
Yeah.
See, that makes sense.
Yeah, especially
faucet.
at the line, how rapid I'm working, like the rapidness of I gotta have like some kind of organization. You know what I'm saying?
He shuts off the faucet at 14. He's like, it's it, no more.
Yeah, and for psychological cheat sheet, it's definitely gonna always be like 14 tracks. So I'm always going in my August for 9 file and picking like all of the raw beats that kind of complement each other or don't complement each other, so it can have some sort of crazy, weird contrast that happens to work. You know what I'm saying? So with August for 9, it's kind of it's an ongoing thing, because it's easily just going in the folder, putting these here, and sometimes I'll be doing those beat switches. So I add more than 14 beats. You know what I'm saying? I'll be putting those beat switches together. Like every time you hear a beat switch, like even all of the shit on Still Here, beat switches, me. All of the beat switches on Mudslide, me. I think it's Microwave. I put that together. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then the Only Ignorance Wins on the Psychological G3, 5 joints. Like August for 9 sent those joints in like a span of 4 years ago. Like I was sitting on one of those beats 4 years ago, and I decided to go in my August for 9, go on fishing file, and go crazy. So you know what I'm saying? It definitely, everything starts with the beat, and then after everything is done, it starts with that number 7. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You can chart a course from anywhere, man. That's cool. Yeah, that's dope. So thank you for joining us, Vic. I've told you I've wanted to talk about Tree and about the legacy of Tree for a long time. You are honestly the only guest that makes sense besides Tree to do this. You've been waving the flag for him, longer than I have, and I was arguing with people that I respected on Twitter for Tree, and I don't argue on Twitter, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, I did. I felt very passionately about how important Tree was and is, like, still, like, crazy, crazy dope shit. Listening to the newer stuff, Soul Trap, We Grown Now,
Mm.
easy. Some of the best work he's ever done. And I just wanted to hear from you what you think. Like, if someone has gone up to you and says, I've never heard Tree, what's so special about Tree? What would you say? What is the description?
I would just say go listen to We Grown Now. I feel like We
Oh, yes.
Grown Now is what's really important to Tree as an individual. I think We Grown Now is also like one of those things. Tree would say this too. It's like, man, he always looked at me as a person that was like, yeah, man, Vic, you the reason why I would even want to rap again. You know what I'm saying? It's just your aura, your charisma, how you carry yourself with the music. You know what I'm saying? Our music don't even sound the same, but it's like one of those perfect contrasts that works. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hey, I think that me and Tree stem from the same branch. You know what I'm saying? But even though we spread it different ways, we steal from the same branch. And that's why it's easier to work like that. I just feel like Tree, I would describe Tree as a person that puts his soul in his music and everything. Like he puts his real life in his music, and you can really, really feel that if you know him. Even if you don't know him, it's like, damn, man, when you meet him, it's like, damn, I knew you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't listen to his music with that kind of ear. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely would say Tree is one of those guys that make you motivated. It'll make you be a tougher person. You know what I'm saying? And also expand your horizons because Tree takes risks with melodies and it works for him. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody do what he do. He's got this style that's just, that can't nobody say nothing about, but always embrace and cherish and praise because it's really authentic and really him. So, I always like to mingle with guys that's like me. And he's a Libra like me. So it's like, yeah, shout outs to Tree, free Tree. You know what I'm saying? That he's one of the greatest from Chicago that ever touched him. He's one of the greatest.
Okay, right before Vic posted the Tree had gotten locked up, I got an email from Tree with like the rough vocal mixes of the project he was working on. And I listened to a few of them. It was overwhelming how good the singing was. Like, seriously, he was taking the singing. It was overwhelming.
I mean, and I listened to the 4 projects, and I think I could hear the growth in his singing in those 4 projects.
Yeah.
What 4 did you listen to?
The 2 Sunday Schools, We Grown Now, and Trap Genius.
Yep. Okay. This is a good selection. Yeah.
It's a very good collection. That's very essential collection.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not bad. I mean, and so my response, like if someone were to ask me, Kay, why should I listen to Tree? I would say the lesson you learn from Tree is emphasis. Right? The Tree, Tree's not a dense lyricist in terms of he's never going to confuse you. Like, that's not what he's trying to do. Right? That's not the mission. So Tree finds a way to say words and say phrases in a way that cut deeper than other people saying the same phrases because of the emphasis he puts on everything he says. It sounds raw, it sounds pure, it sounds authentic.
Now, when you say emphasis, what do you mean by emphasis?
So, like, as an example, right? If like a cool pimp rapper calls you a bitch, they might just be having fun, you know? If Tree calls you a bitch, that's some shit. Right? That's some shit. Some shit went down. Like when Tree swears at you, it's not light. It's not on some light shit. It is heavy. Yeah. And it's the emotions are in the emphasis, right? Like there's no jabs. These are power punches.
Mm.
So, and it was a big deal. But the real wild thing, because like I have to say, I think Tree taught me a lot about music when I was coming up. Making this site was founded on mixtapes, right? And I thought the world of mixtapes was so big and open, and very few people knew about it. It was like a secret kingdom. And I Tree was an example of somebody who came up with very little support, no cosigns, right? Produced it himself, rapped himself, right? And you remember Sunday School, Kay?
Yeah.
Right? The first song is MTV. So he comes on.
That's a fact.
Yep. Go ahead, Vic.
I was saying, yeah, I was agreeing with you. That's a fact.
Yeah. He every time he won, he celebrated that, but he was so unconventional in his delivery, but he made beats that fit that. So it was never a problem. I always wondered if because there was Vic did the Vic Tree EP. I think, what was it, 2017, 2015, something like that?
Yeah.
Yes. So, and I was always wondering, could Tree just produce for someone else? Could they pick up the timing of his production or not? Because it was just very specific. Yeah.
Yeah, Tree has distinctive sound. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I really love that distinctive sound.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? To the point where I want Tree to start rapping on his beats again. He's ventured off from rapping on his beats. You know what I'm saying? But I've been advocating him, like, yo, I need you back on your beats, on your soul trap beats. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, is there a reason why he's kind of veered away from?
I don't think it's no reason why. I just think that Tree just has this this crazy ear that kind of like travels through time. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm on this. I'm focused on this right now. Or this actually sounds good. This sounds up your alley, Vic, but I can rap on it too. Like, he's just he's expanding his horizons. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely always have that same Tree mentality whenever he rhymes on anything. I just think that he's just trying to tap into to like different things that'll trigger the same Tree. You feel me? As opposed to being in your comfort zone, like his Tree beats is being in his comfort zone. But it's what everybody loves Tree. Everybody loves Tree for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what struck me is, his artistic fearlessness. Like you said, my of the 4 projects I listened to, We Grown Now was probably my favorite. Not probably, it was my favorite. And just the chances he was taking, and I guess you could say, like, creative vulnerability that he would show. I mean, it's really like inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, really good. Like, he got songs about his girl, songs about his kids. It's really, really, and stuff that you would expect the unexpected from Tree. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you don't know what kind of surprises you're gonna get. But I know one thing that I always have is this sort of excitement when I'm listening to Tree. If I'm about to chime into a new album, the excitement that I have when I'm knowing I'm about to press play on it, it never changes.
No, you're right. And the when We Grown Now dropped, it's like 2019. I think the song that got me in touch with how special it was, because I just wanted Tree to not be worse, right? There had been a little layoff. When MCs have a layoff, sometimes they shake out of their zone and they're not what they were,
Take the cobwebs off, yeah.
It's about being in the zone. I was like, man, I hope he's still there. And then when Backflip came on, I was like, man, Tree is an all-timer. Like, Tree's just one of the best. Like, Backflip is just such a crazy dope song with a wild chorus and a fun explanation at the end. It's cool. This is so cool. Yeah.
Seeing Tree record all this shit, bro, you wouldn't believe it. He's just sitting there, you know what I'm saying, just coming up with the shit. He don't have no pen, no paper. He's just right there coming up with the shit. While he's coming up with the shit, I'm somewhere with the pen and the paper or the phone. You know what I'm saying? He's just at the mic, focus on one word or 3 words or 3 sentences, and it's just like by the time he's done doing his shit, I'm done. And now we got a whole song done. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly the process. Like, watching Tree record is probably one of the most inspirational things, because it's like, yeah, man, he's really putting his life out there. He's really the psychological cheat sheet. He's really doing it. Like, he's doing it from that angle. Like, I've seen it with my own eyes. Like, dang, you know what I'm saying? He right there on the bike. Just it just came up with all this shit. Like, I was there when he recorded what was it? Letters to My Son.
Oh.
Saying?
Yep.
Yeah, that was track right before Backflip.
Yep.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And man, I remember when I first heard it mixed, I was like, damn, this shit is really good, man. Damn. You know what I'm saying? Because Tree don't like recording at his crib. I mean, like, recording in the studios, he recorded at his crib. You know what I'm saying? Knock all this shit out, and then he go to the studio and get it mixed. That's his wave. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He invited me to one of those waves. I was like, yo, this before We Grown Now came out. I'm like, man, see, this is it right here. This is what people want from Tree. This is the Tree that people want. You know what I'm saying?
Was there anything watching Tree that you took away, like, yeah, let me try to apply some of that to my own process?
I would just say my consistency with recording songs. Like, I wouldn't record songs just to record them. Like, after coming up with, like, me and Tree been recording forever. So I've been, having this approach for a while now, like not recording songs that I'm not gonna put out. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything counts. Like, Tree go in on the beat. When Tree go in on the beat, that means it's coming out. Like, Tree got this picky ear. It's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? His ear is crazy. Nah, Vic, I ain't rocking with that. He gonna be honest, and and then whatever he rap on is gonna be really good. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. That puts and I like that, because it changes the stakes for the recording. Like, everything has stakes to it.
Yeah.
Right. So that way, like, Vic doesn't just put out 3 albums in a year. He puts out 3 great albums in a year, right? And that's the difference, right? So, and I think that you're right. I mean, Tree, when he stepped out, he was ready. And I think that's it's a good lesson to learn. And the freestyling thing is important, Kay. I feel like Tree is a member of those. He's a member of that Chicago samurai group that came about, right, when it was like Chicago was taking over the world, right? It was Chance, it was King Louie, it was, Chief Keef, all that shit. And I remember I got to interview Solar 5, amazing. I got to ask him about that shit. And I was like, King Louie, man, felt like he was always freestyle. Like, it felt like he just stepped in the booth like that. And he's like, I recorded him, and yes, that's what was happening. And like, so that makes sense with like Tree doing that as well. There was so much energy coming out of Chicago at that time. There was a group of people who were just fearless, just going for it. And of those people, I picked Tree because, like, and I can get into that, but I think Tree's sound had an advantage over a lot of other people's sound. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
what would that? Oh, go ahead.
so
Sorry.
yeah, the advantage, K. You remember? So this is back when there was trap and there was drill, right? And trap had kind of, I don't know a better way to say it, it gotten silly, right? Post 1017 Brick Squad, Trapaholics mixtapes every 2 days. It had gotten a little silly, right? We'd gotten through the cycle to the, to the people in the back. And drill came in and it was different because it was serious. But drill is so cold and detached that shit, there's a distance between the audience and the performer, right?
Mhm.
Like I was thinking of it, I was like, a lot of drill MCs felt like supervillains to the listeners.
Mm.
And with Tree saying, no, this is soul trap, like we're still gonna have that bounce, it's still gonna have that bounce, but I'm bringing in samples, samples that you grew up on, and I'm twisting them, and I'm gonna sing, and I'm gonna rap, and I'm gonna swear, and I'm gonna call myself names, and I'm gonna fucking, like I don't like I'm gonna live in this beat, and but you're gonna do it too. That shit was, I felt like there was nobody doing that. Like,
You're right, and I mean, I think an artist like, and Vic, I'm sure Vic can speak to this more. Like, you know, Chicago is such a fertile ground for music and different musical styles. So an artist like Tree could really only come from a place like Chicago that has so many different styles all germinating in like one space.
It's like one of those buffet tables. You know what I'm saying? In Chicago. You know what I'm saying? You want to be an option. You don't want to taste the same as nobody else. So I feel like the more rappers is in the city, it's gonna be more originality coming from that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The more rappers it is, the more originality everybody is trying to be more original. So I feel like, yeah, that's what Chicago is. It's one big table with a lot of dishes on it, and you want to be an option. You know what I'm saying? You when somebody come and test your flavor, it's definitely going. They're gonna see why they like it. They're gonna see why it was intriguing to them. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I feel like that's what Chicago in its entire is. You know what I'm saying?
that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, when I think about how different what Tree was doing is, I think about like Sunday School 2 is one of my favorite mixtapes ever, right? That ever was. I love it. And Safe to Say, the first song starts with the church organ.
Cold.
Yeah.
So
It's
cold.
10 seconds of church organ. No one was fucking doing that. No one was fucking doing that at that time.
So cold. That album's so cold. Sunday School.
Sunday School too. Yeah. It's soul. I mean, it's the soul. It's a mix of soul, and yet at the same time, like there's, like you said, there's a bounce to it. Like, yeah, I mean, you can't get that album from a lot of, a lot of cities just don't have that musical diversity to be able to produce something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That displayed Tree to the highest capacity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All type of, man. Like, it's so many bangers on there. Track 7 on there, Busters. It's my joint right there.
And
that joint's heavy.
and if you think about the guests that really did well on Tree albums, they were all wild, unconventional. Danny Brown and No Faces, right? Rock Marciano on a few songs, right? Like everybody who had a strange delivery was perfect for Tree's universe. Yep. And yes, it's I mean, there were lots of hooks, big hooks, right? On Sunday school, bridges that lead to hooks. You know, I called him in a review. I think I put it in the breakdown that he was the Howlin' Wolf of Chicago hip hop.
Who is Harlan Wolf?
Howlin' Wolf. Howlin' Wolf.
Who
Yeah.
is that?
Classic blues musician.
Okay.
Like yeah. Yeah, big songs. Smokestack Lightning and just try and what was the Backdoor Man? Backdoor Man was a big one. The Doors covered that one. Yeah, but he felt like blues, like pre R&B. He felt like blues in a way. Yep.
And I have a question, Vic. Growing up in Chicago, what was some of the music that inspired you? Well, like what was in your time? What was going on in the scene? Like what were you hearing a lot of?
Like when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think. It was Common. It was E.C. Illa. Do or Die, Twister, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It was a group called Quailohine. Triple Darkness, Snipers. Like we had Chicago, you know what I'm saying? Crucial Conflict. Can't forget about them.
Crucial Conflict.
Yeah, we had like this commercial sound where you knew that was from Chicago, like, you know what I'm saying, in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Only the person that was kind of like resonating me was E.C. Illa, because he didn't reform to what the mainstream Chicago artists did. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was two-time rhyming, you know what I'm saying, except for E.C. Illa. But he still was had a pertinent spot in the Chicago scene while I was coming up. You know what I'm saying? And if I wasn't listening to that, I was listening to these mixtapes called Sox Park Mob and Straight Up Gangsta Shits. It was like volume 1 through 38 or something like that. And in each mixtape, and it was like a Chicago mixtape. And it had like various artists. That's why I learned about D.A. Smart and, a lot of other people, you know what I'm saying? Just like you just got like a real feel of what Chicago was doing at that time. You know what I'm saying? So I always had like a wider ear to Chicago artists coming up, but E.C. Illa was like the go-to. You know what I'm saying? Because it kind of like reflect me and my big headphones and my Walkman and seeing guys tag, and that was the kind of vibes that I was in coming up. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things I had heard from people was that Chicago, the reason there was a lot of double time flow was because that the house scene was so big in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Production was faster.
Yeah.
And had to be able
Footwork was important in Chicago at that time. Footwork, you know what I'm saying? And of course, that was definitely two-time and crazy. So, you know what I'm saying? If you can rap to that kind, like you will have people doing footwork into your music. So that's what kind of like the sound generated from. I feel like everybody was doing it. It was comfortable. It was cool. It all was dope. It's all Chicago culture. I can't ever look at nothing bad at it, because I love to go to house parties in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? That's all they played.
Yeah. No, it's.
I feel like Chicago, a lot of Chicago grew up on like Dayton Family and 8 Ball and MJG and all of that stuff. Like those was like, you know what I'm saying, splash in there with those Chicago artists. Like everybody in the 90s knew Lay It Down by 8 Ball and MJG. Like everybody from Chicago. Like those will be, that a song will rock at a house party in the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you go to a party, those same people living right now, they'll still be singing that song like that. You know what I'm saying?
Lay it down, fight music, man. I remember. I mean,
Definitely 90s fight music for sure.
yeah, yep. I remember that shit. People used to talk about how the club changed when 8 Ball and MJG came on. It was different, but no, it's that's awesome. And yeah, I just wanted to be able to give Tree the appropriate shine as someone who was totally unique. And I felt like the soul production that he infused and the heart he infused in it, that was a lane that could have bought drill and trap another like 5 or 10 years of relevance in the spotlight. But ultimately, I think, and I've learned this over time, if you're too unique, no one replicates. No one, they just like go, that's him. I can't do that. You know, the copied, you can copy with, and it makes sense and it's kind of easier to do. No one was going to do Tree, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think no one had the not a lot of artists have the the fearlessness to do Tree. You know what I mean? He takes chances.
Tree is his own worst enemy. You know what I'm saying? Tree, when Tree stopped rapping, that was probably the worst decision that he made. You know what I'm saying? When he took his break. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that he's the great, he can come back and be great. But just imagine how many things he would have been able to accomplish if he kept going. The consistency. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's Tree. I feel like that's one of Tree's problems. It's just falling out of love with the politics of it. I think that every artist always love to record and do their due diligence when it comes to their man hours. But I feel like Tree just fell away from like the whole allure of being an artist. You know what I'm saying? He don't want to do videos. He don't want to do shows. He don't want to get fresh. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like all of that matters. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Tree came back. When he came back with that mindset, like, yeah, man, Vic, I'm gonna give me some videos. I'm gonna have a documentary. I'm gonna get fresh, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take your advice on that, man. You know, I feel like those are the things, the elements that Tree is missing. He's missing those ingredients for the shish kebab.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Good put it.
It felt like, and I remember when Tree did announce his return, and I think there was kind of a post. It was something like he felt like the game had kind of moved on from him. Wasn't sure if he had a spot, and that kind of, you get in your head like that, it can be hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
We talked about
self-discouragement.
Yeah,
self-discouragement.
We talked about Planet Asia, and I remember there were a few years where people were like online making fun of Planet Asia. What is Planet Asia do? What is this? And like 3 to 5 years later, they were like, Planet Asia, one of the goats. You know, that's just how this works. You know,
exactly, the consistency of continuing to do it, because it didn't affect Planet Asia. Planet Asia been rapping for 30 years.
Yep.
Easy. You know what I'm saying? More than that. You know what I'm saying? And still at the top of his game. You know what I'm saying? Amongst some of the greatest MCs to ever do it. So, you know what I'm saying? When you know that growing up, and then you see some Planet Asia slander, it's like, that's not gonna age well. You know,
right.
You know, Planet Asia done dropped 8 albums. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's why I call him my cousin. I'm glad to have him as a cousin because he's a mirror reflection of me. You know what I'm saying? He drops multiple albums a year, and he's way older than me. He's doing it on a real pristine level. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, you know, if you're an MC and you've been rhyming since the 90s, looking at PA's career and catalog would make you, if you have the will to go out and go do it, PA's catalog will have you very inspired, for sure.
So Vic, would you say? Oh, go ahead, Skate.
I was gonna say, like, I mean, I feel like if you've been recording for 30 years, that's more of like you've got a process. You've got a tried and true process that's going to allow you to produce work, no matter how you're feeling or, what state you're in at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, that's the only way I could fathom being able to do it. And it sounds like PA, like Planet Asia, sounds like, you've got like a process that you use.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gotta have that process. You just gotta have that. Every part of making a record has to have time tended to it. Like when I'm picking beats, you have to have time for it. Carve out a couple hours. You want to write a song. I carved out 2 hours while the BET Awards was on yesterday and carved out 2 records. Wrote them at the same time. I was so deep into the writing, the beat went off and I still was writing for minutes before I stopped and turned the beat back on. You know what I'm saying? And I would do that back and forth with these 2 August for 9 beats for Psychological Shishi 4. The 2 songs are the last 2 songs that I'm recording for Psychological Shishi 4. And that don't come out tonight.
Yep. Now, and I was wondering, Vic, you said very meaningful here that Tree was his own worst enemy, right? And I think, is that something you learned basically from Tree? Like, I have to bulletproof my mission statement, right? Like, I have to be, because if I don't, and I let other people bother my process, I'll never be able to do it how I want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I also don't feel like Tree took losses like I feel like Tree just bossed up in other levels that he know that he would be happy about. I feel like everything that was happening in the politics behind the scenes with Tree's career, he wasn't happy about that shit. But then when he stopped doing rapping, then he started doing these taking trips all over the country, all over the globe. You know what I'm saying? Then you start to see a more happier Tree. You know what I'm saying? Right. So more like, I want to be happy as Tree. You know what I'm saying? Whether I could take some of those attributes and put it in my music. You know what I'm saying? Saying a rap line like, man, I just want to be happy as Tree when he taking a trip. You know what I'm saying? That'd be, you know what I'm saying? That's my resonation of, you know what I'm saying? My reflection of learning from Tree in that regard, man. Tree is definitely a person that, when you look at like, yeah, man, I'm glad I didn't do this, and I can actually be a friend and tell Tree that that it's a shame that he did it. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely one of those piggybacks off, like, thankful to have his friendship where to a position where he'll come and tell me like, man, Vic, I'm ready to get back to rapping, and I'm just as excited as I'm about to play a new Tree album when he says this. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I want for him. I want for him to want to do it too. You know what I'm saying? You have to want to do it. When you're a great artist, you kind of like, you don't want to fail. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Libra. I don't want to fall. I don't want to make a bad album. I want my albums to be perceived as good. The more I put out albums, the better I get. So I always want to get that. But then when you put on this specific level and it don't reciprocate, then I can understand the discouragement. You know what I'm saying? I definitely can understand and tap in with that discouragement. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's what happened to Tree. And and also himself just drowning himself into that, you know what I'm saying, instead of, swimming through that swamp. I feel like he would have been a better off MC. But then, it's like you said, it's the process. You know what I'm saying? Somebody gets in the process of you trying to get to the top, like you on the MTV list, and then the next year you're not, and you just made just as strong as music as everybody else. And then Tree always talk about how blackballed he was with Epic Records, you know what I'm saying? And who was that? Bobby Shmurda. You know what I'm saying? They was going to sign Tree and Bobby Shmurda. I guess they went with the Bobby Shmurda. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's like a chip on his shoulder. That probably was like his strike. Like, man, fuck this shit. You know what I'm saying? Right. This shit is for the bozos. Yeah, this is what they want. You know what I'm saying? Not that he hated that music. He's just like, this is what they want. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. You know what I'm saying, And then Tree is like, if you at this level, you can't go that back down. You know what I'm saying? It's a pride thing, and it's a real strong pride thing. He deserves to have that. He deserves it.
Yeah.
He deserved to have his pride because he came from a stature where when he came out, he was put on this heavy, tall pedestal, and then for that not to reciprocate as he continued to be an artist was devastating for Tree. You know what I'm saying? At least my view.
Yeah.
How do you battle that as an artist? Because I mean that what you just described is like that's a very human thing. You know what I mean? So how does an artist like how do they stay balanced and stay grounded?
I feel like doing the music is one side, but then what you put in the music is another side. I feel like Tree has balanced it that way, but he's put so much into being powerful for what he says. It exceeds the expectations, or it don't. How could I say it? Like, because I never seen Tree. Tree don't have a whack album. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he don't have a whack album. So when you see him at a pedestal when his first album came out versus to what's going on now, you have to wonder what the fuck took place. You know what I'm saying? What discouraged Tree? You know what I'm saying? Tree will be like, man, I wasn't getting no money from this shit. You know what I'm saying? Fuck this shit. I ain't getting no goddamn money from this shit. You know what I'm saying? You never know what discouraged him. You know what I'm saying? But I could just imagine Tree like, man, shit, I wasn't getting no money from this shit. I left that shit and I started getting money. I started, that sound like the Tree that reformed from his own career and went off and ventured and started taking trips and found solace in that. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, he always kept in contact with me. He always asked me how I'm doing, and I'm always talking about music. And that kind of could rub him in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, you know what, Vic, man, you probably the only one that I fuck with on the rap shit. You know what I'm saying? So I take that with pride. That's like some Sean Price shit right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Like, I cherish that just like that. So it's just like, man, when somebody of that stature give me that kind of praise, you know what I'm saying? I don't take it lightly. And then I also hold them accountable for that, hold them responsible for that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you hear Tree rapping now. It's because I held him, he was accountable for telling me that. Like, man, I want to hear something. I want to hear something. Don't just tell me that. I want to hear something. And while I'm telling them that, I might be direct, but I'm ultra excited because I know I'm about to dive into some new Tree soul trap shit. I love it.
Yeah, and a shout out. I want to shout out a really great Tree song that if people haven't heard, they should check out on Eastern Illness. No, it's our Eastern Medicine, Western Illness. DJ Preservation, right? Great album. Hong Kong samples, just killer stuff. Tree is on there, and the song is called Money in the Wild. And that shit is nasty. Amazing word flips on there, cadence. Tree can slow his cadence all the way down, and he can speed it all the way back up again. And he's baffling in that regard. It's amazing. So I wanted to shout that one out. Yep. And Preservation was giving interviews saying how excited he was to work with Tree, that he's been a Tree fan for years. So, like, that's what's hard, Kay. When Vic was talking about the frustrations, if you get closer to the frustrations than you are to your positive imprint, it fucks with your mind. That shit fucks with your mind. Like, you have to stay close to the good effect you've had on your fans, on the people around you, on your art. You have to stay with your art, and keep those people further away, right? Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I say. any last thoughts on Tree? We're gonna go to recommendation corner, talk about what's good shit we've been listening to. So, yeah. Okay, any final thoughts?
No, man.
Good
Free
deal.
tree.
Free Tree. That is it. That's what we got to do. And recommendation corner. Bandcamp Fridays coming up. So you know, by the time anybody hears this, it'll be over. But there's a lot of good stuff out there to be copped. Yeah.
First, I want to say I'm dropping Psychological Cheat Sheet on Bandcamp Friday on Bandcamp.
Oh shit! I gotta cop up. I love that. I love that album. I'm very excited for that. That's cool. I did not know that.
Does Bandcamp do they do a Bandcamp Friday once a month?
Yeah, or I'm not sure if it's every month, but it is happening again, and this is the first one. I don't know the schedule. Vic, do you know the Bandcamp Friday schedule at all?
No, I don't. I think
Yeah.
they do it like maybe one Friday every other 2 or 3 months, maybe.
Okay.
Ooh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'll recommend Togo by Josiah the Gift and True Cipher. Great album cover. Yeah, man. Josiah the Gift's been working. Mickey Diamond's on the album. King Mike of the Infamous, A La Prime, Napoleon the Legend. Yeah, good shit. Good shit. Togo's dope. Vic, what have you been listening to?
I've been listening to Alchemist and Rock Marcy.
Oh, Elephant Man's Bone. Yep.
Love the album. I think that's my album of the year.
Oh wow. Okay.
Song of the year, it goes to Diesel. Goes to Coogee Rap Diesel. That's also produced by Alchemist.
Ooh. Yep. Absolutely. I see the AFC Records hat behind you. Living it up. That's awesome.
I've been listening to YL and Stalker. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yep.
Their efforts this year. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? Them been my go-tos, you know what I'm saying? And I still been listening. I've been listening to Screwed and Chopped in my old college playlists I used to be listening to. You know what I'm saying? These all the burn CDs right there. That's what I've been.
Oh wow.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I've been playing the boom box over there, the cassettes and the burnt CDs of
Love
all the
this
shit
setup.
doing college. So you know, I've been having a field day. Before it came on,
are there
I was
any
listening to
oh sorry.
go ahead.
I was gonna say,
And I
for
was
people who are
listening
not
to
familiar
the
with
Chop
that, with that era, are there any artists or albums that they should check out?
From right now?
Oh
No,
no, from like the Chopped In, you listen to Chopped and Screwed, like
Yeah, I say listen to the Carter, Chopped and Screwed. I was listening to Twister's So Sexy with R. Kelly, Screwed and Chopped.
ooh.
That shit was cold. I was listening to Akon, Locked Up, Screwed and Chopped. Just like some Michael Watts mixtapes, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, I've been heavy. I was heavy on that in college. So you know what I'm saying? Definitely was seeing if I can get every album that sounded like it needed to be screwed and chopped. Like when I remember they started making CDs screwed and chopped, I was like, and they had Michael Watts doing it. I'm like, oh man, this is epic. I can't believe this. They putting out David Banner, Screwed and Chopped by Michael Watts, and the Carter 2 by Michael Watts. Oh man.
yeah. That's awesome. Kay, I wanted to tell you something. Staying close to our mission statement, right? Like and bulletproofing our mission statement, like a great producer rapper was, we were talking, and he was like, I'm going through a bunch of bad shit, family shit, that's really been fucking my shit up. But listening to Free Music Empire has made me laugh, and it has gotten me to think about shit in a different way, and it has gotten me like to be able to de-stress, to be able to sleep.
Beautiful.
And I was like, holy shit, man. Like, I always picture our audience like just in the bathroom taking a shit, like, oh, I should check that out. Like, I think that's the way, that's where this lives, right? This is like the long shit podcast, you
I would
know?
get a shower, like shower music. Like, yo, I'm
Okay.
about to take a shower or bath. Let me put that on.
Yeah. But like, I didn't think about people going through real shit and us actually helping in any sort of way. That's fucking dope.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy. So, yeah, it's beautiful. And I'm sure Vic is dealing with that times 30 with the psychological cheat sheet, and being able to see people get their shit off their chest through him. So, it's the thing. And I appreciate that. It's wild. We're all connected, and we all got to look out for each other out there. But yeah, Kay, what are you bumping? What are you listening to?
I mean, two things. The first thing would be the Intergalactic. It's like a move. It's the Kid Cudi movie on Netflix.
Oh, the Intergalactic. Yeah.
Yes, and it comes with or it was released with this, or an album. I don't think it's a soundtrack. With a Kid Cudi album that's really solid. And then I finally got to listen to the Ka albums that came out.
Oh,
Language Arts and Woeful Studies.
Woeful Studies. Oh, shoot. Yeah.
And they're just, I mean, they're just lovely. Really great pieces of work.
Yeah. No, to me, those are the wordiest, flyest Ka albums. Like, every single line has like 4 meanings to it.
Yeah.
It's like he needs some credit the way Jay-Z gets credit. Like, on just like,
I mean, he's really settled into a groove. And just to hear how he's, I want to say evolved, but I mean, he was already like pretty advanced when I first heard him. Yeah. Just to hear how comfortable he's gotten in his flow, and how there's a little bit of like I know this word is kind of played out, but there's a little bit of a swagger to him.
Talk about it.
That, I mean, it's just, I mean, he like, he knows he's one of the best in the world at what he's doing right now, and you can hear it.
Ka is dope as fuck. Yeah.
I that's why I always say, like, the only people that I think Ka and Rock want to impress are each other. I don't think they give a fuck about anybody else. In terms of, like, I don't think they sit there and like go like, man, is Action Bronson better than me? I don't think they even think about any of that shit. I think they're just like, man, I got to top Rock, or I got to top Ka. I think they're just, there's a real beautiful competitive respect between those two. Yeah, that I'll never forget. Rock Marciano was on. What is it? Who was the dude? I always forget. He passed away, but he was a killer radio host. He used to be a lawyer for Rockefeller. Combat Jack. That's what.
Okay.
Combat Jack. Yeah. So, like, he was on Combat Jack, and Combat Jack didn't like Ka at that point, or didn't know him that well, or just wasn't into it. He's like, I don't know about Ka, and Rock went off and was like, you gotta tap into Ka. You gotta get. He's like, that's the guy, and that's awesome, because they knew each other were brilliant before anybody else, and that feeling is pretty dope to have. There's a lot of crews right now doing that and feeling that way. So that's awesome. Yeah. Any last words out there, Vic? Anything before we bounce out?
Still here, Mudslide, logical cheat sheet out right now. You know what I'm saying? Cop all the physicals. You know what I'm saying? Watch all the videos. Got a video coming out for a stone construction worker off psychological cheat sheet very soon, and then another video off that album. And then, you know what I'm saying, might hear another Vic Spencer album by the end of the year.
Ooh, are we getting for hire? Is this a Sunny Jim or what?
Nah, me and Sonny Jim at the drawing board with how we're gonna formulate another project. I don't think we're gonna do another Spencer for hire. That's still on the table. We might take it to another venture. And you know, that's something that we're doing now. I'm at the table with the beats, fussing with the beats that he recently sent me. So that's what me and Sonny Jim is at. But I might be dropping an album with Stu Bangers. You know
oh, dope. That's dope.
Yeah, so you know that album's been done. Man, the album was done a minute ago. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. About 5 years ago, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's how long I've been letting it marinate. And you know what I'm saying? I'll be happy when it finally comes out because it's one of those like, yeah, Vic, they can't put you in a box type albums, like, you know what I'm saying? You know, Stu Banger's gonna be with the boom bap, you know what I'm saying? And it's all boom bap. You're gonna hear one Vic Spencer influence production on the whole album, you know what I'm saying? So I'm excited about into this East Coast Vic Spencer wave that I was heavily influenced in.
I love that your flow is so energetic, your persona is so energetic, but your patience is like top level, is like Buddhist. It's, you know, you're just like sitting on this album for 5 years with this big name producer, like, we'll get to it when it's done.
Yeah, and Stu Bangers is busy too, so it's like, you know what I'm saying, you don't want to clash. You know what I'm saying? It has to make sense as long as we brothers in it and the music is getting done. I think that's what really matters. And you know, making sure it's out at the right time and making sure that all the good fans hear it is real important. So, you know, Stu Bangers is cooking with legends and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm doing my 1-2 thing. So we ain't tripping. Now we about to come join forces. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I am gonna drop a summertime video in the winter because that's how we be working, baby.
You say timeless music can be dropped at any time.
Exactly.
There's no expiration date.
That's what type of time we on, K-Rollins.
Follow Vic Spencer on every available social media because his music's gonna follow you whether or not you like it. It's out there. It's coming. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Stay safe, everybody, and pay artists. Pay.
What will tomorrow bring? What will tomorrow bring? What will tomorrow bring? What will tomorrow